People always talk about the glass ceiling for women in business. But nobody talks about the glass floor for the men who support them. I spent the last 6 years living on that floor, watching my wife, Vanessa, rise to the stratosphere while I made peanut butter sandwiches and braided hair. My name is Robert. I'm 40. To the outside world, and specifically to Vanessa's high-powered colleagues, I am the trophy husband, or as Vanessa jokingly calls me at parties, the nanny with benefits. We have twin daughters, Maya and Chloe, who are 6. When they were born, Vanessa's career was just taking off at a major investment firm. We made a choice. I would step back from my career to manage the home front, so she could focus 100% on work. What Vanessa conveniently forgets, and what she actively hides from her new friends, is what I actually did before I changed diapers. I wasn't a barista. I wasn't a failed artist. I was a senior forensic accountant for one of the top auditing firms in the country. My job was finding the money that people tried very hard to hide. I hunted embezzlers, money launderers, and corporate fraudsters. I was good at it. I saw patterns where others saw chaos. But for the last 6 years, the only patterns I analyzed were sleep schedules and grocery budgets. I was happy to do it. I loved my girls. I loved my wife. I thought we were partners playing different positions in the same game. But about 8 months ago, the game changed. Vanessa got a promotion to CFO. She started working later. She started buying new clothes. Expensive, provocative clothes that never left the closet on date nights with me. She started locking her phone. And then, the insult started. Subtle at first. A roll of the eyes when I talked about a PTA meeting. Then, more direct. "Rob, please don't bore the guests with your domestic stories," she said at a dinner party. "You wouldn't understand this deal, Rob. It involves actual numbers," she said to me in the kitchen, forgetting that I used to audit companies worth more than her entire firm. I swallowed my pride. I told myself it was stress. But the forensic auditor inside me, the part of my brain I thought I had shut off, woke up. It sensed a discrepancy. And when a forensic accountant senses a discrepancy, they don't stop until they find the source. Part 2. The audit of a marriage. The investigation didn't start with hacking her phone. It started with the car. Vanessa drove a company-leased luxury SUV. She claimed she was spending late nights at the office, pulling all-nighters for the Meridian merger. I logged into our shared toll road account. I told myself I was just updating the payment method. I downloaded the transaction history for the last 3 months. I exported it to Excel. Old habits die hard. Within 10 minutes, I had a pivot table that told a story Vanessa hadn't. On Tuesday and Thursday nights, her late office nights, her car wasn't parked downtown at her HQ. The toll transponders showed she was exiting the highway 20 miles north in an affluent suburb called Lakeview. She would exit at 7 p.m. and re-enter the highway at 6 a.m. the next morning. There was no office in Lakeview, but there was a house. The house of Julian Sterling, her CEO. My stomach dropped. Julian was married, charismatic, and notorious for mentoring young female executives. I needed more than toll logs. Toll logs are circumstantial. I needed the smoking gun. Vanessa was careless with her digital hygiene at home because she viewed me as technologically illiterate. She thought my world revolved around cartoons and casseroles. One evening, while she was in the shower, I didn't unlock her phone. That's rookie stuff. I went to her laptop bag. She had an encrypted work laptop, but she also carried a personal iPad for Entertainment. It was password protected, but the passcode was our twins' birthday. Predictable. I opened iMessage. It was synced. I scrolled past the messages to me, mostly asking if I bought milk. I found the thread with JS. It wasn't just an affair. It was a secondary life. He's so pathetic, Julian. I came home and he was excited about a coupon for detergent. I can't wait to leave him. Once the bonus from the merger hits, I'm filing. I'll give him the house. He can rot in suburbia with the kids while we travel. Does he suspect? Julian asked. Rob, please. He hasn't used his brain in 6 years. He's a golden retriever. Loyal and dumb. I read that message 3 times. Loyal and dumb. I took screenshots. But then I saw something else. In the chat, Julian had sent a file, a PDF named Offshore Routing V4 PDF. Why would they discuss work files on a personal device via iMessage? That's a massive compliance violation. I opened the PDF. I stared at it. The numbers danced in front of my eyes. This wasn't a merger strategy. This was a skimming scheme. They were inflating the valuation of the assets for the merger, funneling the excess capital into shell companies in the Caymans, and presenting false reports to the board. This wasn't just infidelity. This was securities fraud. Felony level. Multi-million-dollar theft. I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt that cold, sharp focus I used to get before a big audit. Vanessa thought I was a useless nanny. She was about to find out that she was sleeping with the lead investigator of her own nightmare. Part 3. The gathering storm. I didn't confront her. Not yet. A good auditor gathers all the documentation before issuing the report. For the next month, I played the role of the golden retriever perfectly. How was work, honey? I'd ask, massaging her shoulders. Exhausting. I'm carrying this whole company, she'd sigh, texting Julian under the table. I backed up everything. I installed a keylogger on our home desktop where she sometimes logged into her webmail. I gathered bank statements, shell company registrations, and their romantic texts. I built a dossier that was 3 inches thick. The Meridian merger was scheduled to close on December 15th. To celebrate the impending deal, Vanessa decided to host the firm's executive holiday dinner at our house. It has to be perfect, Rob, she ordered. Julian is coming. The board of directors is coming. I need you to stay out of the way. Just handle the catering staff and keep the kids upstairs. I don't want you embarrassing me with small talk. Of course, I said. I'll make sure everything goes exactly according to plan. The date was set. December 12th. 3 days before the merger would finalize. 3 days before they planned to cash out and likely serve me divorce papers. I contacted an old friend from my auditing days, Marcus, who now worked for the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. Hypothetically, I asked him over a burner phone, if someone had proof of massive fraud in the Meridian deal, how quickly could you move? If the proof is solid, immediately, Marcus said. Why? I'm sending you a package, I said. Don't open it until December 12th at 8:00 p.m. Part 4. The dinner party. The night of the party, our house looked like a magazine cover. Waiters in white gloves passed around hors d'oeuvres. Expensive wine flowed. Vanessa looked stunning in a red dress, holding court in the living room. Julian stood beside her, his hand lingering on her lower back a little too long for a colleague. I was in the kitchen, wearing my apron, directing the staff. Vanessa came in to get a refill. Is everything okay out there? I asked. She sneered. Just keep the crab cakes coming, Rob, and fix your tie. You look sloppy. You look beautiful, Ness, I said. Enjoy tonight. You earned it. She didn't even look at me as she walked out. At 8:30 p.m., it was time for the speeches. Julian clinked his glass. The room went silent. The board members, wealthy men and women in suits, looked on expectantly. To the Meridian merger, Julian boomed, and to my brilliant CFO Vanessa, who made the numbers work like magic. Vanessa beamed, raising her glass. To magic? She laughed. I stepped out of the kitchen. I wasn't holding a tray of appetizers. I was holding a microphone I'd set up with the DJ. Excuse me, I said. My voice echoed through the room. Vanessa froze. Her eyes widened in panic. Rob, what are you doing? Go back to the kitchen. I'd like to propose a toast, I said, walking to the center of the room. To my wife, and to Julian. Julian laughed nervously. That's sweet, Robert. But we're discussing business. Oh, this is business, I interrupted. My voice dropped an octave. The golden retriever was gone. The auditor was here. Vanessa often tells people I'm just a stay-at-home dad. She forgets that before I changed diapers, I was a senior forensic accountant for Deloitte. The room went deadly quiet. A few board members straightened up. She called me dumb and loyal in her text to you, Julian. But see, the thing about dumb people is they notice things, like toll road logs. And the thing about loyal people is they really hate being stolen from. I nodded to the hired AV guy, who I had tipped $500 extra. The large 80-inch TV above the fireplace, which was displaying a loop of the company logo, suddenly changed. It wasn't a sex tape. That's tacky. It was a spreadsheet. What you are seeing, I pointed to the screen, is the unadjusted EBITDA of the Meridian deal versus the reported figures. Julian and Vanessa have inflated the assets by 40%. The board chairman, an older man named Mr. Henderson, stood up. His face purple. What is this? Next slide, I said, calmly. The screen changed to the iMessage screenshots. Vanessa, I can't wait to leave him. We'll take the bonus and run. Julian, offshore accounts are ready. The board is too stupid to check. Gasps filled the room. Julian lunged towards me. Turn it off. He's lying. He's a jealous ex-husband. I'm not an ex-husband yet, I said, dodging him. But I am a whistleblower. I looked at Mr. Henderson. Sir, at 8 p.m. tonight, a full dossier was digitally delivered to the SEC and the DOJ. My friend Marcus confirmed receipt 10 minutes ago. The FBI is likely about 5 minutes away. Vanessa dropped her wine glass. It shattered on the hardwood floor. Red wine stained her dress like blood. She looked at me, trembling. Rob, what did you do? I balanced the books, Vanessa, I said coldly. I just balanced the books. Part 5. The liquidation. The rest of the night was a blur of blue lights. The FBI didn't storm in with guns blazing, but they came in with subpoenas and seized devices. Because I had provided such detailed evidence, they had probable cause to secure the premises immediately to prevent destruction of evidence. Julian was escorted out in handcuffs because they found cocaine in his pockets, a detail I hadn't known about but wasn't surprised by. Vanessa wasn't arrested that night, but she was detained for questioning. I watched from the porch as she was led to a police cruiser. She looked back at me. Her arrogance was gone. She looked small, frail. Rob, she whispered. The girls are sleeping at my mother's house, I said. I took them there this afternoon. They won't see this. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I can fix this. You can't fix a felony, Ness. And you can't fix us. Part 6. The new balance sheet. The fallout was spectacular. The merger collapsed. The firm's stock plummeted. Julian turned on Vanessa immediately to try and get a plea deal, claiming she masterminded the accounting fraud. Vanessa turned on Julian, claiming he coerced her. They destroyed each other in court. Vanessa was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for securities fraud and conspiracy. Julian got 7. Because I was the whistleblower, and because I was not involved in the fraud and actively exposed it, I was entitled to a percentage of the recovered funds under the Dodd-Frank Act. It took a year, but the payout was substantial. More than Vanessa would have ever made from her bonus. I filed for divorce immediately. With Vanessa in prison and her character destroyed, I got full custody of Maya and Chloe without a fight. I sold the big house. It smelled like her perfume and her lies. I bought a nice farmhouse a few towns over. I'm not a stay-at-home dad anymore. Well, I am, but on my own terms. I started a small consulting firm from home. I help high-net-worth spouses find hidden assets during divorce proceedings. Business is booming. It turns out there are a lot of people out there who think their partners are dumb and blind, and I enjoy helping them find out just how wrong they are. Last week, Vanessa sent me a letter from prison. She wrote about how much she missed the girls, how she missed my cooking, how she regretted underestimating me. I didn't burn the letter. I filed it into a folder marked Closed Cases. Then I went outside to play catch with my daughters. The sun was shining, and for the first time in a long time, the numbers in my life finally added up.